After 10, and we have Ms. Goldberg, Ms. Misakowski, Mr. Pacheco, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Rick Thomas. We have 6 members present, we need 4 more for a quorum. Sergeant, will you remind them of the time? Mr. Holden. Mrs. Walters, Mr. Savonich, would you please come to the council chamber? please come to order. Hopefully this will be a meeting of the City Council of the City of Los Angeles on the 6th day of October, the year 2000. There are 15 council districts, including the regular meeting days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We are currently being viewed by cable subscribers throughout the Los Angeles area on Channel 35, and we're also being monitored by council phone. We do have a couple presentations, so we're going to start with those, and I'm going to call upon Ms. Sikowski first. Cindy?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to have some of the people here in the first and second row and some of their friends join us here at the podium. Members of the council, I'm not sure how many of you were lucky enough to catch the early news a week ago Friday morning. Day in and day out, our firefighters, our paramedics, and those people who deal with emergency response in our city are called on, and day in and day out, 24 hours a day, they provide that service, and very often in a heroic manner. And I wanted to call to our attention, and call to your attention, a specific event that occurred a week ago, because it caught the attention of my staff. The news media was involved in it, but I don't think enough people got to see what our rescue forces did and can do. Let me read a little bit of a narrative to you. And standing behind me are people from those members of our firefighting task force and rescue ambulances from Battalion 13, Task Force 66, and Rescue Ambulance 866. And they are being joined by their friend, William Thomas. And here's the story. On Friday, September 29th, at 1 o'clock in the morning, 14 companies of firefighters, 1 battalion command team, and 2 rescue ambulances responded to a greater alarm building fire at 6823 Southwestern Avenue in Hyde Park. The first-in responders from Station 66 found a fire in a strip mall with a well-involved fire in a furniture manufacturing business. The fires had spread to P&T Pet and Feed, and before the fire could be extinguished, numerous birds, hamsters, and other pets died. The higher they were off the ground, the less their chance of survival was because of rising smoke. Firefighters were able to come in, extinguish the blaze, and rescue several small pets and about a dozen puppies. And those dozen puppies that were rescued, some of them were revived and resuscitated. And I was reading about the reports of the firefighters and the paramedics saying that they aren't trained in animal resuscitation. But those instincts were so natural that they put the oxygen mask over the puppies, and one of them, which was limp and lying there, the oxygen mask on its face, you first saw the tail started to go, and you knew that resuscitation revival had occurred. So this is, I asked the battalion and the task force and the rescue ambulance members to come in today. Some of them today are on unit, the shift, C shift, and it was actually A shift that was on duty a week ago. But we have some of those firefighters and paramedic rescue ambulance people here today who actually were at the fire. And we have William Thomas and some of the puppies who were saved and revived by this effort. And so, members of the council, in recognition of the courage, heroism, sensitivity, and love for life, which they demonstrated in the early morning hours of September 29th, 2000, when they rescued and resuscitated several frightened young puppies from a blazing, smoke-filled pet store during a strip mall fire, where other animals did perish and 2 businesses suffered extensive damage. Their brave performance of their duty reflects credit on both the Los Angeles Fire Department and the City of Los Angeles, and reinforces for all the residents of the city the value of life, both human and animal. And I'm happy to present this on this 6th day of October to Battalion 13, Task Force 66, and Rescue Ambulance 866. And let me just tell you who we have here. We have Chief Mike Little, who from Battalion 13, who is in overall command of this particular response. From Fire Station 66, we have Captain Mike Giacalone. apparatus operator Scott Quinlan, firefighter Juan Ramirez, and firefighter Dan Fiore. From Station 66 who are assigned to Engine 66, Captain Denise James, Engineer Mike Morales, and Engineer George Carbajal. And from Rescue Ambulance A66, we have firefighter Ed Waters and firefighter-paramedic Greg Scott. So I want to thank all of you, and Mr. Thomas, who's here with, I'm going to let him tell us who he brought with us. I would like to thank you and have you come forward and say a few words.
Yeah, can we have the puppy say something?
My name is William Thomas, and I'm here on behalf of the firefighters. I'm just glad that, they was there to rescue a few of my puppies. And it's kind of nervous after the thing. I ain't never been in front of a lot of people talking, so you got to bear with me on, this right here. This is my wife, and the puppies, we named a couple of puppies out there, the fire department. We call one Blue Flame. Blue Flame? It's Blue Flame.
Blue Flame.
Blue Flame, and one is Blue Fire. So, we just want to thank them for saving us.
For saving the puppies.
Saving the puppies, even though we lost a lot, but, we're going to try to come back.
Thank you. We have one of the firefighters come forward, and that's it. Chief Little?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm Battalion Chief Mike Little, and on behalf of the members of Fire Station 66, certainly it's an honor to be here, and we're very appreciative of Councilperson Miskowski's recognition of these efforts. It's not a very common situation for us to be called to rescue animals, but certainly our appreciation for life, all life, as was mentioned, is, I think, illustrated here, and we're privileged we have the opportunity to be present and to rescue the pups in this case. So once again, we'd like to thank Councilperson Miskowski, as well as the rest of the members of the City Council for this recognition. Thank you very kindly.
I don't know if any of the firefighters want to talk specifically who might have been there that day. Dan? No, they're shy. They don't have their equipment.
I can tell you that firefighters fear public speaking more than do the fires. If I could just say a couple of words, I wanted to thank Councilmember Miskowski for bringing this to light here and honoring the firefighters who did such a great job down there. They did a good job technically in putting the fire out, and they also followed through afterwards with all the other resuscitation that they gave to the animals. We get a lot of letters in the fire department from a lot of people who have received good treatment. Rarely do those letters point out that the technical aspects of what we did was just right, that we put the hose in the right door, that the ladders were placed in the right place, that the right combination of drugs was given. What they point out to us is that the firefighters cared, that they went into the rubble and brought out my wedding album. They brought out, they cared when my husband died that night. And I think this shows both the technical aspect and the caring that we give to the citizens every day. So I want to thank the firefighters here for doing such a great job down there, and also the council for recognizing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you, Mr. President. We'll come on in the back and have a picture taken.
Thank you, Ms. Miskowski. Call the roll.
Burnson, Chick, Fear, Galanter, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, Pacheco, Padilla, Everly, Thomas, Warner, Schwex, Walters, Ferraro, 10 members present, a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, with the first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
All right, Ms. Goldberg moves, Mr. Fear second. There's no objection, unanimous vote. Next item,
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
unanimous vote. Chair recognizes Mr. Pacheco.
Mr. President, I just want to make sure the camera's on too. The camera's on. What? That's not about being vain. So I want to make an announcement. I want to make sure this gets heard. Jesus. God. Mr. President, colleagues, today we were going to announce and basically give to Juan Gabriel our resolution announcing tomorrow as Juan Gabriel Day in the city of Los Angeles. Due to problems with his flight and him not being able to get here on time, and instead of holding up everyone and obviously holding up the process, we've decided that we're going to postpone that announcement, or actually the delivery of the resolution till tomorrow night. But today, we should put on the record that the City Council did adopt a resolution announcing that October 7, 2000 is Juan Gabriel Day in honor of his dedication and commitment to creating music that has touched and inspired so many people all over the world. One of the other things that we were really wanted to emphasize about Juan Gabriel, besides the fact that for 16 years running, he has had 3 shows at the Universal Amphitheater, and every year has sold out. So approximately 280,000 people have enjoyed his music here in the city. But also that in 1987, Juan Gabriel started a orphanage, and since that time, he has funded and been the main patron for that orphanage in Mexico through his concerts and being available after the concerts for his fans and for fundraising for that orphanage. One of the things that we expect from all of our public figures, whether it be elected officials or whether it be artists, is that they somehow recognize that they are part of the community and give back to the community. And I believe that Juan Gabriel has done that, has worked very hard in his own profession, and has done a good job of giving back to the community. So unfortunately, he can't join us here today, but I did want to make the announcement that this evening, tomorrow, and Sunday evening, although it's sold out, he will be performing at the Universal Amphitheater, and tomorrow evening we will present him with the resolution in recognition of tomorrow being Juan Gabriel Day here in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Do we have any other announcements by colleagues or presentations at this time? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, let's proceed with the agenda.
Before beginning the regular agenda, Mr. President, there's an item to continue, item number 17, a request from Council District 15 to continue that item to October 11th.
Is there any objection by any council member for continuing this item until October 11th?
Item 17.
17, Councilman Goldberg. Okay, seeing no objection, so ordered. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Items for which public hearings have been held, items 1 through 6. Item number 2 has a new report being submitted that has been distributed.
Anyone want to be heard on items 1 through 6, is it? Have no cards, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Any specials?
Not a special, just for the record that personnel did hear item 3 and we concur. We heard it yesterday afternoon, the report couldn't be done in time, so I just wanted to put that on the record.
Okay, that 3. Okay, we have 1 through 6, with the exception of 3. Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. Forthwith on to next item? Huh? Yes, Mrs. Walters. Next item?
Items for which public hearings have not been held, items 7 through 16.
Okay, we have a card on 14. Anybody want to be heard on those items? Have no cards. The public hearing's closed on all but 14. Any special by council members? Any specials? If not, prepare the roll on 7 through 17 with the exception of 14.
Item 16.
And which one, 17? 7 through 16 with the exception of 14. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item.
Item number 3 called special by Council Member Walters.
Mrs. Walters.
Thank you, Mr. President. I called the special, colleagues, because it has to do with police recruiting, and I have some real concern about the way they've gone about their business of recruiting. In the instructions that were given to the police department with respect to recruiting, traveling to places where they would have an assurance that there was a diverse population, to sort of match the diversity of Los Angeles and assist in the consent decrees that we have with respect to recruitment. I have found in this report, in taking a look at the issue in committee, that they were going to places that I felt assured them an Anglo population as opposed to Latino, African American population or Asian population. Some of the places they went, they did get some diversity. But even in going to a place where there was a large diverse population, such as Washington, D.C., they set up their recruitment efforts at American University, which is in the most Anglo part of Washington. They didn't touch Howard University's campus, and Howard University being one of the oldest and finest of the historically black colleges. I think that this deserves all our attention, not just mine in committee, and I promise you I will continue to watch this, but I was deeply disturbed by the response when I raised it in committee that they go to places where people are that want to be police officers. That is not the correct response, and that is not the information that was contained in the report and in their directions, to solicit where people not only want to be police officers, but a diverse group of people want to be police officers. They went to Colorado Springs, for example. Colorado Springs has a history of being a place that's a hotbed of right-wing activity. Colorado Springs is a lovely little town, but I don't think that the kind of diversity that we're looking for resides there and warrants their spending the money to go there. So through committee, the chair has recognized the concern and indicated to the department that they were to pay attention to this need for diversity, the need to respond to the consent decrees, and as they move forward in trying to recruit people for the police department. And I just wanted to bring this to the attention of everyone so that not only will I watch it, but that you will be watching it as well.
We probably could have had a joint meeting. We raised many of the very same questions. I was assured, just because you'll be here longer after I'm gone, I was assured that where they had, well, somewhat longer, I was assured by both Personnel Department and LAPD that where they had virtually all white audiences, that they would not return to those places again. Because I said we're just going to end up not dealing with our whole diversity issue, and also we've had a long conversation about women not being recruited as heavily as they might be, and I got commitments again from them that that is something that they are focusing heavily on. So that's why we sent this forward as it was, but we raised many of the same questions for obviously many of the same reasons.
Was for the commander in charge of this to make the response that we go where people want to be police officers.
Well, since my committee met after yours, that was not the response I was given.
Prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 eyes.
That is approved. Next item, forthwith on that. Next item.
Item number 14, there are cards from the public on the item.
Yeah, we have Gary Semenian, Gary Kanjijian, and Alex Sardar. Would you please take the center microphone?
Okay. Honorable members of the Los Angeles City Council, good morning. Thank you for allowing me to address this meeting.
Would you give your name, please?
My name is Gary Sinanian. I'm a representative of the youth organization for the St. John's Armenian Church on 1201 North Vine Street in Hollywood. I am also a business owner of Ron's Gardens Flower Shop in Sunset Boulevard. Our organization...
Would you talk into the microphone, please?
Sure. Our organization promotes inter-ethnic relations among youngsters for the Armenian youth throughout the Southern California area. On behalf of the Armenian American community for the City of Los Angeles, I would like to take this opportunity this morning to thank you, and through you to the city of to the residents of the city. Little Armenia would be a medium to integrate Angelenos from every walks of life, to promote tolerance in their community, and not to mention for better inter-ethnic relations. On behalf of the Armenian American community, we ask that you please vote in favor of Little Armenia. The mosaic of ethnicity is well preserved in the city, and we thank you once again for your hospitality and willingness in making this city a better place to live. Thank you.
Please step up. I called your names already.
Good morning. My name is Gary Kanjan. On behalf of Hollywood Armenian National Committee, Armenian Center, Armenian Cultural Foundation, St. Garabet Apostolic Church, Alec Pilibos Armenian School, and Home Men, Armenian Relief Society, 3,000 petitioner, and as a resident in the area, I would like to thank and praise Council Member Jackie Goldberg for bringing this motion to the City Council, and Council Member Laura Chick for seconding the motion. The designation of Little Armenia in the proposed boundaries will stimulate local economy, promote harmony and cultural awareness in the greater Hollywood community. Besides promoting neighborhood pride, multicultural ethnic exchange, and tourism, it will improve low-income housing, commercial revitalization, small business development, social and human services. I therefore urge you to support this motion. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, my name is Alex Sardar with the Armenian National Committee of America Western Region. While I don't reside in Los Angeles, I do represent some 500,000 Armenian Americans in the Western United States. Our organization is the largest grassroots organization in the country. On behalf of our constituents and our organization, I'd like to extend our commendation to Councilmember Goldberg and Councilmember Chick for bringing forth this motion. And just to give you an idea of the importance of this motion, Armenian Americans have contributed greatly to the city of Los Angeles. It's very apparent by the cultural diversity and driving down the area, everyone can see the contributions that the community has made. And I'd like to also second the importance of this motion and urge everyone on the council to please vote yes. Thank you again, Council Members Goldberg and Chick.
Thank you. That's all the cards we have, so the public hearing is closed. Ms. Goldberg?
Oh, yes. Well, we have designations in the city for Chinatown and Little Tokyo, Koreatown, and Thai Town. And my staff, after having met with merchants and residents in the parts of East Hollywood that have a substantial Armenian presence and have for some years now been the port of entry for a great many immigrants, agreed and is proud to sponsor this motion today because we think that it's not, our view is that diversity, when it's identified, it enriches our culture, does not make and balkanize, does not divide people up. There's no sign here that says no one else is welcome. It says here is an Armenian community that lives in harmony with people from Thailand, people from Central America, people from Kansas, people from all parts of this country and all parts of this world. And it is a way to promote, I believe, good relations with its neighbors. They have reached out. The petitions that were brought to us were signed by people of all ethnic backgrounds. And that was one of the conditions that we discussed, is to make sure that this was something that would be well received by the, really the mosaic of people who live in East Hollywood and have businesses there. So I am proud to support this resolution and urge you to do the same.
Mrs. Chick?
Yes, I just wanted to rise in support, obviously, of this motion and to say that with a little bit of envy, I'm proud, very proud of the current and growing Armenian population in the West San Fernando Valley. And perhaps we'll get to a time where we need to have also a designation of Little Armenia elsewhere besides my colleague's district. But I'm very pleased that we're taking this step now. Some of the schools and the churches and the both political and community service centers and activities that have come to my community as part of the growth of the Armenian population and presence there have added to the entire community. And I'm especially grateful for the opening of those schools and churches to other community groups for meetings, offering to the city places for my neighborhood planning councils to meet, and even offering up staff to participate in those meetings and to serve as volunteers in other community activities. So for all of those things, thank you, and I think this is a small way to recognize those contributions.
Mr. Holden?
Ms. Goldberg, if this were in my district, I wouldn't be saying Little Armenia. What about Big Armenia?
I didn't choose the designation.
Oh, I mean, you just want to be little?
The community picked the designation.
Oh, okay.
They leave that to the weightlifter who won the gold medal.
Yeah, he's a big little guy, isn't he? In that case, I was just only my concern was you can call him little instead of big. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Joe, I
Holden.
will,
Whatever.
Mr. Ferrara, I didn't talk the last meeting.
And you were beautiful.
And I didn't talk the meeting before. And I'm not going to say much today. I'm going to say I'm going to have I'm casting an aye vote.
Okay, prepare the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Thank you for coming. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, not on the agenda, is Special 1 motion presented by Councilmember Swornich and seconded by Councilmember Wax, and the city attorney will explain the need to make the findings.
Ms. Weingard?
Thank you, Mr. President. On September 30th at approximately 4:10 in the morning, a Chevrolet Silverado pickup truck was traveling northbound on Cabrillo Avenue in San Pedro in excess of 85 miles an hour. It went through a red light and struck another car, and as a result of that collision, Danielle Gregario, 18 years old, was killed instantly, and several other people were injured. And the police department are asking for the help of the public in order to find out who actually was the driver of this vehicle, and therefore the council would need to make the findings that the need to act arose after the posting of the agenda and that there's an immediate need to act.
Okay, prepare the roll on the findings. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Mr. Savarnich, did you want to be heard?
Ask for an aye vote.
Mr. Savarnich asked for an aye vote. Prepare the roll on Special 1. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith on that. Next item.
Next item, Mr. President, do you wish to recess to the special meeting?
Yeah, well, let's clear the desk off, though.
Okay, this is the time for comments from the public on non-agenda items.
Is there anybody in the audience who wants to be heard? We have no cards. Candido says no. Okay, the public comment period is, we have one person. You what? Where's your card? Okay, good. Take the microphone and make the card out later. Give your name and address and what's on your mind.
Yeah, okay. My name is Dr. Moore, and I'm happy to be here. What I'm here for today is to say I think it was a terrible mistake that you guys did not agree to the consent decree. Me and my friend have discovered a circle of collusion within your city. We feel that your decision should be revisited. I have brought documents to show where your city is conducting selective and, well, the point is, what you're doing here, you have corruption going on in this building as I speak. I bring papers right here to show where James Hahn is allowing his city attorneys to run a private corporation in our public building at taxpayers' expense. They are donating campaign donations to his campaign, and they've lied on their tax form. I can show where selective and vindictive prosecution is going on, where they are squashing evidence that have been crimes that have been committed against the public. And here is a letter right here from the DA's office whereby they have squashed evidence totaling over $50 million of taxpayer money. We've asked you in the past not to merge the transit police with the MTA. You did not listen to the people. As a result, many African Americans have been framed. I have been one of them, but fortunately I won because I speak out. James Hahn, Garcetti, and many of these public buildings are running private corporations in our building at taxpayers' expense. Right here, I'm going to show you that the public feels that this dissent decree was necessary because they cannot control themselves. This thing is about money. I have the bank accounts. The evidence that I can produce today can show where over thousands of cases should be overturned dating back to 1962. We feel that you should go back in chambers and revisit that. If not, we will be going to Janet Reno very soon to show her where money laundering is going on at the backs of taxpayers, where decisions are being made not based upon fact. You're doing what you want to do. If you're interested, I have brought copies where you can see it's not my word. I have done public record acts where they are using the EIN number of the taxpayers, diverting our taxpayer money, and we want it stopped. Also, last, what I want to say is that in this city, you cannot get a fair trial based upon everything that's contrived. Here, as I stand, here is the signature card of one of the illegal bank accounts, and the person on the signature card happens to be over the jury, thus causing people not to have fair trials in this city. I'm asking that you take what I say very seriously, and if you are interested in this information, I ask that you take it. If not, racism will continue to perpetrate throughout the city. You went after James Nate Holden because of donations that came from public persons and businesses, but you have not done anything to James Hahn, and he has taken donations. I have the papers right here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, the public comment period is closed. Next item.
Before going into the special meeting, Mr. President, do you wish to do the excuses on the desk?
We'll recess the council at this time and come back into session. So call the rolls for the special meeting.
Burnson, Chick, Fear, Galanter, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, Pacheco, Padilla, Ridley, Thomas, Warner, Schwax, Walters, Ferraro, 13 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, do we have to do any minutes on this? No. Okay, we have item number 1, communications from Community Debris Development Agency relative to the issuing of multifamily housing revenue refunding bonds in the amount of not to exceed $28.4 million for the Metropolitan Apartments project. You want to explain this?
Yes, Mark Johnson from the Redevelopment Agency. In 1985, the agency issued $28.4 million of housing revenue bonds for development of the Metropolitan Apartment Project, which is located on Olympic between Flower and Hope. The developer is Forest City Enterprises. At the present time, these bonds are supported by a letter of credit from Industrial Bank of Japan, which is coming up for, or is approaching its termination. Forest City has requested that the agency issue refunding bonds that would feature a corporate guarantee from Forest City rather than a letter of credit. Additionally, they want the maturity date extended currently from 2005 to 2025. This would also trigger an extension of the affordable housing restrictions through the maturity date of the bonds plus 5 years. However, if the bonds were to be called and retired before 2025, Forest City is willing to accept a affordable housing set-aside that would terminate 5 years after the early redemption of the bonds. In committee, in Housing and Community Redevelopment Committee, there was discussion about having alternatively a fixed 30-year extension for the Affordable Covenant. So what is before you right now is approval of the bond documents to allow us to proceed with the refunding. But there is a question as to whether the affordable housing covenant would be for a fixed 30-year period or alternatively for the period of time the bonds are outstanding plus 5 years. And there is a representative from Forest City Enterprises who wishes to speak on this matter.
We did have the public hearing, but if there's no objections, we'll allow Stanley McNada or what? Machota. Tell us all you know. It's only going to be 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. It may be less than 3. You received I'm Stan Machota, the Executive Vice President of Forest City Residential West. As many of you know, we've been developing primarily and predominantly mixed-income housing in this state for almost 30 years, and in LA. Mark mentioned the 1985 transaction with the agency. At this point in time, the reason we're requesting this is that this property is severely underwater. We have $12.5 million into this project. The CRA made a soft second, which also with accrued interest is $15 million. We would like to continue the life of this project and hopefully all benefit from the rising waters in South Park. But we want some flexibility. We have agreed to a 30-year affordable covenant if the bonds are extended to their maturity in 2025. What we're asking for is a normal business decision opportunity that if in fact we elect or are required, both elect or are required to redeem these bonds earlier than 2025, we will agree to continue the covenant as we have in the original transaction for an additional 5 years, even without the tax-exempt benefit. This is option 2 under the supplemental report that you received. Would very much appreciate your support of that aspect of the deal. If you have any questions, I'd be pleased to address them, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Mrs. Walters.
Thank you, Mr. President. You will note in the report that the affordable housing component has been extended, and that was a condition of refunding the bonds. And I want to thank CRA for ensuring that this occurs, and the Forest City owners or developers for responding positively to this.
Ms. Goldberg.
Yes, this was heard Wednesday in committee, and it comes to you without recommendation because I didn't support the recommendation, and the chair did. The issue is very simply this. If, in fact, the bonds remain in effect for the full period of time, we get a 30-year extension on the affordable housing. If, however, they decide in 2004 or 2005 to buy back the bonds, to pay them off early, then we get 5 years beyond that, but then there's no more affordable housing. And I simply raised the issue that at some point or another, without a 30-year guarantee of affordable housing, that as the market rate might take off, that we might be producing not just here but all over the city and other San Francisco, where eventually nobody can live unless you have a lot of money, which is why I wanted it to say that if they were forced against their desires by a change in federal law to buy back the bonds early, that then I would say we'd only have 5 years. But if they chose to do it, that we should require them to have the full 30 years of affordable housing set aside. The chair of the committee said no, he wanted it the way it was, which is that if they buy them back early for any reason, they only have to go 5 years beyond that, which means that we could have affordable housing there only for a short time if that was a business decision that they decided to make. And I couldn't support that, so that's why I voted no and why it's here without recommendation. I would like to move that we require that the affordable bonds, the affordable housing, go until 2030, and to instruct the city attorney to fashion language that would safeguard affordability restrictions and yet permit Forest City to redeem the bonds if the tax laws changed in such a way as to force them to have to do that, as opposed to just a simple business decision that market rate housing is more desirable now and we'll just pay off the bonds. And that was what I tried to come to as some kind of compromise so that they didn't get caught if the law changed. But on the other hand, if the law didn't change, that we would have a guarantee of affordable housing in an area that needs affordable housing as well as market rate housing. So that was what I would like to move, and those are the reasons why.
Mr. Fuhr?
Yeah, I'd like to ask why the approach Ms. Goldberg is recommending is a bad idea. Since obviously there was an argument against it that was raised, I haven't heard that argument.
I think one of the concerns the agency has is that on our subordinated loan to Forest City, there is a provision that if Forest City were to sell or refinance the project, it would impair the ability to get the loan repaid. So
I didn't understand what you just said. I couldn't hear you.
There's a subordinated agency loan that's in place. We want to maintain the tax-exempt bonds being outstanding for a long period of time. So we're supporting a refunding with a 25-year maturity on the bond issue.
No, but why isn't it appropriate for us to extend the affordable housing requirement that's associated with those bonds out for the 30-year period rather than the briefer 5-year period?
I think the basic approach that the agency has had is to impose obviously what's required under the federal tax code for tax-exempt bonds. Additionally, at the time we sold the property to Forest City, there was a grant deed that has an affordable housing requirement through 2010. That was the basic deal that was cut with Forest City.
Well, I'm trying to understand, again, the rationale for not going beyond a brief period of time. You're saying that when the property was sold to Forest City,
correct,
there was a more limited affordable housing requirement associated with that sale. Is that correct?
No, the affordable housing requirement that was imposed in 1985 was in two component parts. There was the grant deed requirement that would run through 2010.
Yeah.
And there was the bond-related regulatory agreement that would run. It's current. In fact, that aspect of it is expiring now.
All right, but again, I still haven't heard a rationale for why we should have the affordable housing requirement be more limited. And maybe Representative from Forest City can explain why the city would want to have a shorter time frame. I don't understand that.
Mr. President, maybe I can answer his question.
Mr. Pacheco, I'd like somebody to answer the question because there's no answer yet.
Can I answer his question, Mr. President?
Please, I'd like you to.
Originally the way this was structured, it was 1985 to 2010. We're at 2000 right now. It's a financial issue because a letter of credit is not available, so they have to go to another avenue of financing, keeping the finance afloat for this project. What the agency has told us is it's very important to them to get the longest bond time that we can get as a city, because the project is underperforming right now to the point where if we were to cash out today, the losers in the process would be the CRA of about $15.5 million. What we're hearing from Forest City is that the way Ms. Goldberg has presented a 30-year requirement on the bond, regardless of how, or basically the 30-year condition with the options articulated in the memorandum, that would not be acceptable to them. And if they exercise the option to just refinance it through conventional loans or some other mechanism, the affordable housing mechanism would stay in place till 2010 because that's the original covenant. But we would cash out the project at such a point where $15.5 million of agency money would be lost. And that's the fear that we may run into, is Forest City saying, we can't, that's not workable for us. We'd rather just cash out. We'll recoup the most we can out of our project and then let the other players fend for themselves. And the agency's telling us, they will be left with a $15 million gap. So they want to buy time so that the project turns around and starts producing.
So it's Forest City's unwillingness to have this affordable housing piece that's preventing that from being in the agreement?
That's correct.
That's
We
correct.
presented the fixed
Correct.
30-year requirement, they have rejected that.
Okay.
They have an alternative proposal that I'm going to speak of when it comes to my time, but I wanted to answer your question.
All right, well, I know that during the course of your answering, my time expired, so I'll press my button again, but I want to hear a good reason why our friends at Forest Cities, I know Mr. Machado has been very active in trying to promote affordable housing in the city. In fact, appeared with us when we had the task force report issued with the Cardinal and so forth. So there's more that has to be put on the table to convince me that we shouldn't adopt a longer time frame, especially given that the company's reputation and its leadership reputation is for extending rather than limiting affordable housing options in the city.
You want to say anything else?
I'm waiting for my speaking.
Go ahead. You have the floor.
Oh, I have the floor. Okay, thank you, Mr. President. All I wanted to say was this, is that here we have a very rare situation where Forest City and the corporation is basically backing this financial package and these bonds and guaranteeing these bonds. That's not very common occurrence here. And when I reviewed the material and I looked at the fact that from 1985 to 2010 was the original agreement, and that the basic affordable housing commitment to the project was going to expire in 2010, I considered the proposal, the counter proposal from Forest City, a reasonable one, because they do also, as Mr. Fuhr had mentioned, have a strong reputation of promoting affordable housing and incorporating affordable housing in their projects. I, at this point, have no basis to challenge a Forest City in their assessment and their financial assessment that the 30-year under all conditions, or basically from their viewpoint under mostly all conditions, would be unfeasible. What they're proposing to me seems reasonable in that they're basically telling us that the bond right now is projected to mature in 2024, 2025, and that they will honor the affordable housing commitment to 5 years beyond the bond retirement to 2030. But for some reason, the bond matures or is redeemed earlier, that they will honor it 5 years beyond the bond. So if at 215 the bond matures or is redeemed, then into 220. Basically, they're saying that we want to work with the city, but we also want some protection that if for some reason the bonds get called, that after 5 years from that date, they can then recoup their costs and their investment through the general open market. So I would move, if a motion hasn't been made, that we accept Forest City's counter proposal. I think it's a reasonable one. I think it's a fair one. I think considering since 1985 we've been having affordable housing in this project, that this is something that's a win-win for both the city and the developer in this situation, who's gone out on a limb and put their own personal finances behind this project and guaranteeing the bonds. So, and I believe the agency is best protected under Forest City's proposal, and will give us an opportunity to recoup, if not all of our 15 million, at least something significant of the 15 million. So that's what I would like to move.
Mr. Holden?
Mr. Pacheco, are you saying that if the bonds are paid off and mature prior to the time frame, I think it's 28 years, did you say? 30 years. Then, of course, 5 years beyond the time that they mature or paid off, they will give us the affordable housing program. Is that what you're saying?
They will continue the affordable housing, yes.
Right. So if it's 5 years, then we get 10 years. If mature in 10 years, we get 15 years. Is that what you're saying?
As of today, the year 2000, the proposal guarantees us till 2010. No matter how you look at it, you have 10 more years.
So then you get 5 years beyond that?
It potentially, yes. If the bond matures at 2011 or 2000, Yeah, 2011, we get 5 more years after
So if
that.
they mature in 2005, you just go up to 2010. So you get a minimum 10 and beyond.
Right, minimum the next 10 years.
Now, what's the likelihood that this project would get off the ground if we didn't give them the bond, didn't sign off on this?
That, I believe the agency would have to
Tell me.
answer. The agency for...
Hey, what's the likelihood?
Yeah.
The likelihood of, I'm not sure I understand.
That this project would get off the ground if you didn't come in with the idea that we can get 30 years out of it.
Well, the initial transaction was negotiated in 1985. The project entered service in 1989. The question...
Beyond this point, then, what was the likelihood?
Of recovering the funds?
Did you understand what I said? Did you, Mr. Goldberg? I mean, I don't understand why you're in this position where you make decisions, you don't understand the simple question. Question is, what's the likelihood of this project succeeding if we didn't sign off on the bond requirement?
Well, if we don't issue refunding bonds, I would believe that Forest City would look at other means of refinancing the project, in which case the agency's loan would be due and payable. But we don't believe that there would be
Ms.
sufficient
Goldberg?
money to pay off our loan at this point.
Well, I was not in the committee, didn't hear this discussion before, so, but it just, on what I know, what I've heard so far, I don't think they're in a position to set forth any conditions other than 30 years. And we should have 30 years of nothing. If they're not going to give us 30 years, I'm going to give them a no vote.
Berg?
Yeah, and I think it would not be fair to say that there's no risk to the position that I'm taking. There is a risk. There is a risk that they would refinance without using the bonds, and that the agency would be out $15 million. I mean, I don't want to be cavalier about that. That's a lot of money. On the other hand, that $15 million would buy 30 years of affordable housing. And, you know, it's a hard decision, but I was raising the issue, having missed it the first time it came to committee, and my colleague, Mr. Holden, raised my consciousness level. I missed it the first time. I didn't miss it the second time. If we don't begin to talk about making sure there's affordable housing in all of what we're doing, we're going to end up with not being able to have anybody live in the city of Los Angeles that isn't able to pay market housing. And I think that's a direction that unfortunately we can see in Echo Park is already beginning in just the market forces. We have buildings in my district which, if you had ever told me people would be now renting for $1,200 and $1,500 a month, I would have told you, you should stop drinking so much before we have serious conversations. But in fact of the matter, that's what's happening, and I know that this has risks, and I don't urge it lightly, but I tell you that in all candor, that my concerns were based on the fact that I think that we are headed in this city toward a real crisis, if we aren't already there, and that these kinds of decisions, a few years down the line, simply exacerbate them.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The chair recognizes Councilman Fuhr.
Thank you. I just had a chance to speak with the representatives from Forest Cities and with our bond council, and one of my concerns is, and it's really not mitigated by the commitment that I stated earlier that the representative from Forest Cities and Forest Cities itself has, is once in this setting we agree to a much more limited affordable housing commitment, it's possible, I think, for others to come to the council and say, well, you limited that commitment in that setting, do so in this setting as well. I'm particularly concerned because we've seen in a very different context what happens when Section 8 evaporates. And the developers of those properties, in almost all cases, have ended up changing the nature of the housing to the enormous detriment of people, working families, living at the margins. So I think Ms. Goldberg has accurately stated that there is risk associated with the approach that she is recommending. Mr. Machota has accurately stated this is a business decision for his company. I think that we need to be making both fiscally prudent decisions here and decisions which from a policy perspective will stand the test of time. And as we have all recognized, the crisis in affordable housing in this city, which is just that, is only deepening. We saw in the newspaper just a week and a half ago an article describing that it would take 2 members of a family 120 hours of work at minimum wage to afford the average price 2-bedroom apartment in our city. Obviously, people don't work on that basis. The apartments are out of reach. I think the precedent associated with what Mr. Machota and Forest Cities is requesting here is one I cannot support, and I will second Ms. Goldberg's approach, recognizing there is risk inherent in it, but the risk associated with this money pales by comparison to the door we would open with respect to other projects down the road.
Thank you, Councilman. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Walters.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple of questions of the agency. Do you have evidence that the project is currently a non-performing project? You mentioned that before. Somebody mentioned that the project is non-performing. Does the agency concur in that statement? While you're looking for the answer, I'd also like to know why is Ms. Goldberg's, and I think Mr. Fuhr asked the same question, why is Ms. Goldberg's concern about the 30 years inappropriate? We're not to be levied here in this instance. The report says that the IRS, or the federal government requirement, is 25 years here, but they would extend it to 30 years. Why is, under that concern, why is Ms. Goldberg's proposal inadequate from the agency's point of view? Did you find the answer to the performing or non-performing?
Well, I have some financial data on performance of the project. It's currently producing a net cash flow and a net operating income that's sufficient to pay the debt service on the bonds and also to be paying a return on the equity to the developer, which was part of the original transaction.
Well, then it's not a non-performing project.
But it is not producing sufficient net cash flow beyond those 2 levels to make any payments to the agency on its subordinated loan.
Well, again, explain to me why Ms. Goldberg's proposal is inadequate.
Well, I think, again, it's in presenting and discussing this with Forest City, they have rejected that as being an unacceptable provision. And our concern is that if the bonds are not refunded, it could trigger, under the subordinated loan agreement, a requirement for repayment out of net proceeds of the refinancing, which could conceivably wipe out the agency's second.
All right, quickly. The only reason then that this is being recommended, the only reason that you're suggesting that Ms. Goldberg's proposal is not a good one, because you feel that Forest City has rejected it in the past. I'm suggesting that perhaps this be continued until next Tuesday, and some more work be done with Forest City on the very proposal that Ms. Goldberg has offered. And I would move that.
There's a motion and a second to that. The chair recognizes Councilman Pacheco.
I just want to put things in perspective. Let's not, I get this sense that we're trying to portray Forest City as being an impediment here. They're not trying to be an impediment. We lost a letter of credit, okay, which put us in a financially difficult position. The agency, in trying to be creative to figure out how to solve this difficulty in terms of losing our credit, our letter of credit, approaches Forest City, asks Forest City if they'll put their neck on the line and secure or back up the bonds with their corporate funds. Forest City steps up and says, we will, but we need you to work with us on the affordable housing aspect. We've We are committed to honoring the 25 years of affordable housing that was asked of us, and we're asking for some flexibility as we refinance this whole packet. I just want to make sure we keep it in context. I understand and I do appreciate the fact that we need to maintain affordable housing in downtown. But the way I look at it is, this is an organization that has been providing it for 15 years, will provide it for 10 more years, and asking us to work with them to go beyond that so that this all becomes a financially viable package for them, for the agency who's very concerned about $15 million of their money. It also means that if we're going to vote to put this 30-year condition on this package, that I expect every single one of you to stand up when Staples comes forward and says, we're going to build affordable housing or housing around the Staples Arena as part of our master plan development, and I expect everyone here to stand up and say, then we expect you to have 30-year covenants on your affordable housing, and we should treat them the same way we treat Forest City if we're going to be that demanding, because Forest City's already given is willing to honor their 25 years. So let's just keep this in context. I'm ready, and I've spoken to Staples before they gave their presentation, that we expect them to provide affordable housing, and they made a commitment. But I know that once these projects get going, and they're multi-million-dollar projects, that there's the tendency to do something differently. So I just want to make sure that we keep things in perspective here, that Forest City is trying to do their best to keep their investment a viable one, at the same time not end up where our agency loses $15 million. And I think they're being very reasonable in their approach. I do not have any information to challenge their assessment that the 30 years is inadequate, but I do trust Mr. Machado in terms of his reputation and their reputation in terms of supporting affordable housing. This is one of the good guys, and I want to make sure that we present this in context.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there any other council member that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none. Madam Clerk, what do we have before us?
You have a motion to continue this matter until Tuesday, October 10th.
Okay, that will be our first vote. This is the motion for continuance until Tuesday, October 10th. Madam Clerk, would you open the roll and tabulate the vote?
11 ayes.
Okay, that item is approved. This item is continued until Tuesday. Next item, Madam Clerk.
That concludes the items on the special meeting, Mr. President.
Okay, let's adjourn the special meeting without objection, and we are back into the regular meeting. Next item on the regular meeting.
Next item is motions for posting and referral.
Okay, without objection, so ordered.
You have excuses on the desk. Councilmember Hernandez requests to be excused. City business to arrive at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, October 24th, meets council policy.
Without objection, so ordered.
Councilmember Pacheco requests to be excused Wednesday, November 15th, to leave at 11:30. City business meets council policy.
Without objection, so ordered.
Councilmember Ridley Thomas requests to be excused Friday, October 20th, to leave at noon. That requires a motion.
Now we're getting into something here. There we go. Councilwoman Miskowski moves. Without objection, so ordered.
Councilmember Miskowski requests to be excused Tuesday, October 17th, to leave at 11 a.m. City business, that needs a motion also.
Mr. Ridley Thomas moves that one, and without objection, so ordered.
And Councilmember Swornish requests to be excused Friday, October 13th, personal business, I need a motion.
Now we're in trouble. Mr. Holden moves that one. Without objection, so ordered.
That clears the desk, Mr. President.
Okay. Do we have any adjourning motions this morning? Okay. Would the audience please stand? Chair recognizes Councilwoman Chick.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'd like to ask that you join me in adjourning in memory of a very special longtime resident and somewhat of a lovable character in the 3rd Council District, Mort Diamond, who many of you will recognize that name both through his community activism and the fact that he was a candidate on several occasions in the 3rd Council District and always ran a very colorful grassroots campaign and continued throughout many years writing the council office, often with very creative and thoughtful ideas about how to make government work better. And he will be very missed by me and my staff and the community. Mort leaves his wife, Rita, to whom he was married for more than 25 years, 3 daughters and grandchildren. He passed away ill with cancer, but not very many people knew that he had been sick. The funeral occurred at 11 a.m. today at Mount Sinai. And I'd also like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Charlie, known to his friends as Chuck Boswell, who was a very good friend, a dear friend of my my Valley Field Deputy, Benika Hawkins. Mr. Boswell passed away after a long fight with diabetes on Thursday, September 28th. He leaves behind his wife, Barbara, and 3 children, Charlene, Rita, and Christopher. And I make a correction, he was not only a dear friend of Benika's, but he was her uncle as well.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Goldberg.
I'd like to be a seconder on Mr. Diamond, and I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Jacqueline Reinich. I don't know if many of you, how old your children are, but if you have children that's the age of my son, you remember the book Sweet Pickles. And she was the writer, the co-creator, and wrote most of the Sweet Pickles series of children's books, musical recordings, and multimedia materials to teach children how to survive life's little crises and to learn important moral lessons. She was quite a remarkable member of the Silver Lake family. She began her career in her middle of her life, having read her way through every book, she said, in her local library by the time she was 9 years old. Became a writer at 10 years old and grew up writing songs, stories, poems, and all kinds of things. She penned a musical and scripts for her own radio show, but I think most of us remember her for Sweet Pickles. She also created the Sweet Pickles film strip programs, which are a preschool activity in many, many schools in this city and state and around the country. She is survived by her husband, Dion Neutra, by 2 sons, Alan and Baron, her mother, Dorothy, and her brother, Donald, and 4 grandchildren. And I know that all of us who read her books with our kids will truly, truly miss her.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Are there any others? Councilwoman Walters?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask the council to adjourn in memory of James Cadell, who won the Legion of Honor for his work in World War I. He was a resident of Los Angeles, longtime resident of Los Angeles, had joined the California National Guard, and went back to Europe in the Second World War. In just a few years ago, he was honored when France decided they wanted to collect all the people who had won these medals or who had performed bravely on behalf of France and honor them. He was honored in 1998 on August 11th during a ceremony at Patriotic Hall in Los Angeles. He was the first African American in Southern California to receive the award. He passed away at the age of 101 on Thursday at the West Los Angeles VA Medical Center Nursing Home.
Chair recognizes Councilman Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually have, on behalf of Councilmember Pacheco, a request that we adjourn in memory of Bernice Spivak, who passed away on September 24th in Philadelphia. Mrs. Spivak was the mother of Don Spivak, Deputy Administrator for our Community Redevelopment Agency.
All members.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll? Seeing no further business, this council is adjourned. Have a good day.
watching LA City View, Channel 35. Your city, your channel.